If you are or you think you might be experiencing a postpartum mood disorder like postpartum depression or a postpartum anxiety, or you are experiencing something that seems like postpartum depression only while you're breastfeeding, I want you to keep watching. This video is for you. I will have tips and advice at the end of the video, so watch all the way to the end. And I will also let you know what vitamins and supplements I was told to get on by my lactation consultant. So watch to the end. I wanted to talk today about postpartum mood disorders. I have experienced postpartum mood disorders twice now, and the kind that I experienced is not very talked about. It's just recently researched. There's not a whole lot of research on it. And when I was going through it, I actually didn't even know what I was experiencing until I experienced it with my second baby boy for the second time. So the postpartum mood disorder I experienced is called Dysphoric Milk Ejection Reflex. A lot of people call it D-MER for short. That's spelled D-MER. And it feels a lot like postpartum depression, but only while you're breastfeeding. So it can be really confusing. It's really hard to kind of pinpoint what's going on, especially when you're in that sleep deprived hormonal state that we're all in right after we have had babies. So I think D-MER is hard to diagnose because of that, but also because it's just not super well known of yet. So only 9% of women that they know of experience D-MER. Now I believe that it's probably quite a bit higher of a number, and we just don't know it yet. And really, if you think about that, that's, almost 1 out of every 10 women. So let's say you're at a baby shower with 10 other women. That's a pretty small baby shower, but the chances are that at least one of you have experienced D-MER. And that's just kind of compared to like postpartum depression and anxiety. 15 to 21% of women experience that. And like I said, I believe that the numbers are actually higher with all of these. I think that it's not uncommon for mamas to experience a postpartum mood disorder and just never say anything, and maybe even not ever really admit it to themselves. But at the end of this video, I really want to talk about the things that I did that really helped. Even less common than just support. I think we find actual tangible tips and helpful suggestions for dealing with postpartum mood disorders. I want to help mamas in a tangible, real way. And I think that a lot of mamas are kind of scared to do that because it feels very almost offensive to get advice when you are in such a vulnerable place. Like, how dare you tell me that this could be easier some way? And so I just want to preface this video with saying that any advice that I give, any suggestions that I make are absolutely just from the love of my heart. I also want to preface this video with a quick disclaimer that any suggestions I make or advice that I give should not replace doctor's advice or medication that you should be on, okay? So the advice at the end of the video and the tips that I'm going to give can really be used for any postpartum mood disorder. They're going to be helpful tips that you can do right away, action steps that you can take to just kind of ease the awfulness of a postpartum mood disorder. But I want to talk more specifically about the postpartum mood disorder I experienced because that's what I know and because it is not very commonly talked about. So D-MER happens when you have a letdown, and it happens because your oxytocin levels go up in order to produce that letdown. So what happens when your oxytocin levels go up is your dopamine levels go down. And actually that shift in hormones happens to everybody when we have a letdown. But what happens with women who experience D-MER is our dopamine levels just drop way too low. And so there is a range there. And some women's dopamine levels don't drop as low. Some drop really, really low. Mine was pretty severe. So, and the thing is with dysphoric milk ejection reflex is that mood swing, that severe mood swing that you have when your dopamine levels are too low, only lasts about 30 to 90 seconds. Mine were really only about 30 to 60 seconds every time. And that doesn't seem like a long time, but these feelings are just deep sorrow, sadness, hopelessness. You can feel severely overwhelmed. Some women experience anger or like rage, and it just feels awful. It feels like your life is over. You have nothing to look forward to. You have nothing to live for that, 30 to 90 seconds. And if you think about it, a brand new mama is breastfeeding anywhere, some babies feed nonstop. Some mamas are having letdowns nonstop. My babies were both, my first was about every 3 hours and my second was maybe every 2 hours or so. So not all the time, but that's still, even if you're breastfeeding every 3 hours, that is at least one letdown, at least one of those minutes every 3 hours for 24 hours a day, where you are feeling just completely hopeless. And that can really affect the rest of your day. And when your dopamine levels drop, it is can make you feel really, really tired. So that was another symptom that I had, is I would feel really tired for that minute or so. And then after my dopamine levels kind of leveled back out, I would come out of it and I would feel pretty normal, except for just being exhausted from the hormone shift, from the emotional roller coaster that I was on, and kind of held on to a little bit of shame throughout the whole thing, whether I was having those mood swings or not. Just not really knowing exactly why I was feeling the way I was feeling. Part of me thought that maybe it was because I just hated breastfeeding and that made me feel a little bit shameful. The confusion, was something that didn't just go away when my hormones leveled out. I was nonstop wondering what the heck was going on with me. And so I experienced this for about 3 months with my first baby. And then it kind of went away. And that's what dysphoric milk ejection reflex does. It will go away once your body has stopped, once your hormones have stopped the letdown process. Because at about 3 months, usually your baby is the one that is causing the letdown. Your body is reacting to your baby sucking on you instead of your hormones doing all of the work. So at about 3 months postpartum, with my first baby Wilder, dysphoric milk ejection reflex went away and I didn't deal with it anymore. Now, until I had my second baby, I always wondered kind of what had gone on. I had talked to a couple of friends, and nobody really knew what I was talking about. So I just kind of stopped talking about it, but never stopped wondering what I experienced, because I knew that it wasn't normal. I wondered if it was postpartum depression, but I felt pretty normal otherwise. And I started experiencing it again right away when I had my second baby boy, Vannon. And he's only 5 months old. So this is just very fresh for me the second time around. I started having the same exact feelings, and I knew just exactly what they were right when I had him. I thought, this is happening all over again. What is this feeling that I'm experiencing? And I started really paying attention. I think having gone through it once before, I was able to kind of catch on a little bit quicker to what was going on and when exactly I was experiencing it. I connected the fact that it was right when I would have a letdown. I kind of started timing them, and I actually would be able to count down the seconds to when it would happen. It was bizarre. I would tell my husband it's going to happen in 10 seconds, and I would count down in my head, and all of a sudden this rush, like a wave, came over me of emotions. Like I said before, of sorrow, of hopelessness, of overwhelm, of just deep, I mean, the most sadness I've ever felt. And I have not had a perfect life, so I have felt sad before, and this was by far the deepest feeling of sadness that I've ever experienced. And then I would, this time around with Van and my second baby, I would be able to kind of just tell myself it's going to go away in about 30 seconds to a minute. Just hang on, you'll be okay. And it would every time. And I kind of was able to communicate to my husband a little bit better what was going on too the second time around. And so he was able to say, you know, things like, it's okay, babe, it'll be over in just a minute. Or he would come and sit by me and put his hand on my leg or whatever. And even just thinking about it, I start to tear up a little bit because it is it's a really severe feeling. And even just thinking about how I felt when it happened, makes me emotional. And just thinking about any of you mamas that are going through it makes me emotional because it's awful. It's not fun to experience. And that was why, wow, sorry, I didn't expect to get emotional during this video. Because I want to help. I want to actually give mamas tangible advice, tangible tips that will help. So anyways, the second time around, I was able to kind of pinpoint what was going on a little bit more. But it wasn't until I was seeing a lactation consultant for latch issues for the second time around as well. So breastfeeding was really fun for me. But for the second time around with my second baby, Vannon, we had latch issues too. And so I was seeing a lactation consultant, and both of the consultants I was seeing were just wonderful and so sweet. And I kind of just mentioned at one of my appointments with them what was going on and what I was feeling and what I had experienced with my first as well. And without skipping a beat, she said to me, yeah, that's dysphoric milk ejection reflex, and this is what happens physiologically to you when you breastfeed, and I have no doubt that that's what you're experiencing. And she basically told me that there's not any treatment for it, not any medical treatment for it anyways, and that it would hopefully go away at about 3 months. I was about, I think, 6 weeks postpartum at this point. And so she basically told me that there's no treatment for it. She did give me some vitamins, and I will tell you what those are at the end of the video, so stick around for that. But told me to take supplements and vitamins, and that was about it. Sent me on my way. They were really, really sweet, and they, tried to give me as much emotional support as they could. I started sobbing as soon as she told me that that's what I had. I actually felt so much relief and validation that I was not being dramatic or making things up. There was just a huge feeling of validation and support after getting that diagnosis. And the diagnosis that I got was from a nurse practitioner as well, so she's very qualified to diagnose postpartum mood disorders like this. I want to tell you that if you are going through something like this, man, I think my first piece of advice would be to be gracious with yourself, to have compassion for yourself. You're going through something really, really hard, and acknowledging that and having compassion for yourself can be scary because it almost makes it feel like shining a spotlight on it is going to make it worse, but it won't. What you're going through right now is already so incredibly hard, and shining a spotlight on it and having compassion for yourself is not going to make it worse. It's going to help. I want you to be aware of what you're going through, and I want you to be aware of how hard it is. And I want you to know that you're not alone. If you think you might be experiencing postpartum depression or postpartum anxiety, about 20% of women, of mamas experience that, okay? If you think you might be experiencing D-MER, dysphoric milk ejection reflex, they know for sure that 9% of moms experience that. I really, like I said at the beginning of the video, I really think that number is much higher. So you are absolutely not alone. It's a really hard and vulnerable thing to talk about. So I think that that is why we don't hear about it a lot. That and the fact that a postpartum mood disorder is typically experienced when we are going through the craziest time of our life with a newborn, and we don't have time to talk about it. We've got a million other, we're trying to survive, you know? So I think there's good reason that mamas don't talk about it, and I don't blame anybody for not. But just know that even if you don't hear anybody else talking about it, you're not alone. I think my second piece of advice would be to get a diagnosis. And that can be really scary. Even just calling your doctor can be really scary. And even if you don't want to take medication, I would still suggest you go get a diagnosis. Your doctor may be able to give you advice and resources, even if you don't go on medication. And your doctor may even say, you know, I don't think you need medication, but this is what you can do, and let's talk about what's going on and what could be helpful. So I suggest you get a diagnosis. Now, if you are somebody who wants to take medication, there is medication for you. Maybe not if you're experiencing D-MER. There's not medication for that, but for most postpartum mood disorders, there is medication that will help. Your experience, your postpartum experience as a new mama or a mama of a new baby, even if you've already had other babies, matters, okay? This could be a better experience for you if you got on medication, okay? So, and like I said before, maybe medication isn't for you, but if it is, just go talk to your doctor about it. It could help immensely. And do not let shame or fear hold you back from doing that. My third piece of advice is going to sound almost offensive, I think, probably to some of you. I'm going to say it anyways. I'm going to be brave and say it anyways, but you need to be diving deep into self-care. You need to be caring for yourself like never before. And so all of these things, I do not mean, when I say self-care, I do not mean go do a face mask. I don't mean go paint your nails. You have got a newborn baby. You don't have time for that. Not only do you not have time for that, that stuff is not going to help you. And it's actually frustrating to me that there is this idea, in self-care is such a buzz phrase right now. It's actually frustrating to me that there is this idea that those things are going to help. They don't. Motherhood is freaking rocky, and face masks and nail polish aren't cutting it for us. So we need to know more about deep, meaningful self-care that is actually going to impact your motherhood, and I believe could actually help a postpartum mood disorder experience. And so I have created a 6-week guided self-care planner, and you can go over to my website. It's in these-trenches-of-motherhood.com, and you can find it there. It's a 6-week guided self-care planner, and so at the end of every week, it's got a planner, a really pretty planner set up for you where you can plan your self-care. And in these 6 weeks, it takes you through the 6 forms of self-care, and I also have created a prompted journal. This journal is specifically for mamas who just want a journal. A daily journal practice has transformed my motherhood. It really has, and it got me through the second spout of my postpartum mood disorder so much better. And that is why I am confident in telling you that these things can help, is because I have been through this twice before, and the second time, these are the things that I did that actually helped. So go on over to inthésetrenchesofmotherhood.com and check that stuff out. They're just PDFs that I can send to you, and you can print them out at home and get started on them whenever you want. But the self-care guided planner basically takes you through one self-care per week. It's I hold your hand and walk you right through the whole thing. I walk you through how to get sleep with a newborn, which sounds crazy. I walk you through how to be caring for yourself well in the form of movement, and all of these 6 ways you can be caring for yourself well that will actually help. and really can actually transform your motherhood in any season. They're going to make the really tough seasons, like having a newborn or having a postpartum mood disorder, easier, and they're going to make the easier seasons of motherhood even better. So I would suggest this guided planner for any mama, really, at any phase. And then the journaling is key too. So I have this prompted journal. It's 30 days of prompted journaling, and it's specifically for mamas, and it's really, really easy to use. You can do it really quickly. And that has been key for me to get through this postpartum mood disorder the second time too. So I wanted to show you guys the vitamins that my lactation consultant suggested for me. The first one was that she suggested I just stay on my prenatals, and so Nature Made is the prenatal that I took when I was pregnant, and she suggested I just stay on this all the way through having D-MER. They suggested magnesium, and this one's Nature Made as well, and I will link all these in the description below the video, and so you can just click on them and go get them on Amazon and make it really simple. And then the most important one that they suggested I'd start taking is called ashwagandha, and my baby is waking up, so I'm gonna have to finish this video. My toddler and my baby are napping right now. This is real mom life. I'm no YouTuber. I am napping my babies right now while making this video. I have no clue what I'm doing. This vitamin is called ashwagandha. I don't know if you can see it or not. So those are the three supplements and vitamins that they suggested I get on to help just kind of balance the mood swings that happen with D-MER. And so I guess I just kind of want to leave this video with a fourth piece of advice or a fourth tip that I almost didn't add because I don't want to sound insensitive. I know what you are going through right now is really, really hard. Remember, I have been through it twice. I know. But something that really helped me, and I don't want to leave anything off the table that has helped me. So I do want to tell you ladies, that something that has helped me has been the idea that what you're going through right now is going to serve your motherhood in one way or another at some point. I know that it doesn't feel that way right now, but this is making you so incredibly strong. This is growing you into the mama that you are going to need to be. But just having that perspective, I think, will really carry you through until you have made it out the other side. It can kind of be that light at the end of the tunnel for you if you can grasp it at all. And I do want to say that this is the least important piece of advice. I would say everything I've said before this, absolutely go do. If you can grasp this, great. If not, that's fine. But having perspective in that this, what you're going through right now, is for something. It's not good. It's crappy. It sucks. I know that. But it will be made for good. It will grow you in a way that you need to be grown. It will serve you and your kiddos in a way that you couldn't have had you not gone through this in the future. So just try to keep that in mind. I hope that you found some piece of advice that will help you in this video. If not that, then I hope that you just feel a little bit less alone in this really, really hard battle with postpartum mood disorders. You can, if you don't go over to inthenestrenchesofmotherhood.com for any of the printables that I suggested, go over there just to see some of my blog posts. I write and post about everything motherhood. And so you can go over there and read about that if you'd like to. I would love to have you. And so thank you for watching.